Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando. You threw me off there. And this is episode 272, a Christmas holiday, whatever you celebrate episode.
Yeah, it's pre-Christmas. It's almost Christmas time, which is that magic time of the year where people are spending a whole bunch of money on stuff, which is what,
which is good.
What us resellers kind of count on. So, so typically around Christmas time during the holidays, Orlando and I take a couple weeks off, and then during that time we maybe do like a compilation video of like all of our bolos or hustles of the week. The thing is, that's not like any new content. So what we decided to do this year instead is for the next couple of weeks, we are going to be doing a little bit shorter episodes, kind of almost like our Monday minis if you are on our YouTube. And if you're not on our YouTube, if you're just listening, you should go over and subscribe to our YouTube because we have a ton of extra content on there. But these will be like 10, 15 minute episodes for us to kind of talk about the year, things that we're looking forward to, recap, stuff like that. So, yeah, I see you're wearing your holiday festivities.
My elf hat, which has never sold. You would have thought by now it would sell.
What is it priced for, if you don't mind me asking?
I think like $40, but it's new with tags. See, it's new.
But is it like a special brand or is it?
No, it's just elf. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe it was like, how they have like the middle of the mall, like little boutiques.
I think that's what it was.
It was like a middle of the mall hat.
But
that,
somebody will
like
buy it one day. A super elf fan. Now, this episode, being that it's a mini episode, Mike and I, since it's, before Christmas, we want to talk about, what are some of our best hauls that we had during the year? Because, it's nice to get something under the tree, but it's also really nice to source something that allows you to put a lot under the tree.
That's right.
So tell me, what was one of your good hauls?
All right. So, I tried to figure out like, okay, there's the hauls that are like, okay, this was a bunch of money. And then there's the hauls that have the cool stories. And one of the hauls I was really excited about this year wasn't actually mine, but it was my wife. And so when we first started kind of reselling together, she did a lot of going to thrift stores on her lunch break and things like that. She never really did the garage sale thing. We did a little bit of retail arbitrage together, but now she kind of does mostly the shipping and the, that aspect of our job. And I remember distinctly, I was still doing like virtual schooling. So I'm like at the office that I was using for Wi-Fi. And that was the office we were using to store all of our stuff at the time. And she like comes in, she's like, I need your help unloading the car. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I go out, and she had already like went into the office and got a chair and stacked this rolling chair up with all of these Harry Potter puzzles. Oh my God. And she's like, there's a whole bunch more in the car. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I was at this retail store and they had a whole bunch of these and they were on sale on clearance. And she's like, I looked them up and they seemed like they were selling. She goes, so I took a shot and I bought them all. And I'm like, you bought them all? And I'm talking like her entire vehicle. I mean, we got a Subaru Outback with a pretty big trunk and the seats laid down. Like the whole thing was just full of these puzzles. And the funny thing is, my wife hates when we sell board games because they're always the hardest thing to find boxes for. So I'm like, oh, these are going to be terrible to find boxes for. And it was one of those things where they first we bundled them together because it was two different puzzles. And it seemed like some of the ones that were selling were bundled. So the two of them together, and we sold quite a few bundles like that. In fact, we sold one where it went global shipping. And so it was a bundle they paid full price for. And then it didn't make it, like something happened, but it made it to Kentucky. So they got the refund and they bought it again. So we basically sold 4 puzzles to one guy, got the money. Nice. He got his puzzles. Everyone wins. But they were kind of sitting for a little while, not really selling. And then as Christmas time came, like they have been pretty much our biggest, like, I guess you could say almost Q4 retail thing. Like we were selling puzzles like every other day. We were selling a bunch of puzzles, and we just recently sold our last 3 puzzles. And it was kind of a cool feeling. I mean, it took forever to find a box that fit these because they're big boxes, because they're like the 4D puzzles or the 3D puzzles that you actually have to like. They're not the flat lay puzzles. They're big foam pieces. But it was really neat to actually see my wife like step out and like take a risk, and for the risk to pay off. It was exciting to see that from her, and to see, because the other thing too is, even for me, when I go and I make a purchase on something, there's always that, is this a good purchase or not? But I make so many of them. I might buy 100 things at a garage sale, and if 5 of them end up being bad purchases, oh, no big deal. But when this is like her one purchase of the year, there's a lot of pressure on her, right? There's a lot of like, I hope this sells. And the fact that they've done so well and we ended up making so much money off of them, I think it was a really good just experience for her, experience for me. And I'm also really excited that we don't have to move them anymore, because it took several trips to get all this stuff from the car into the office we were using, and then we ended up moving to our shed. But before our shed was built, it was like we stored them literally in her mom and dad's bedroom. We're like, these are kind of nice, and we don't want them like in this thing we're using for storage. Like, can we put them in? So her parents' bedroom like had a whole wall that was just full of Harry Potter puzzles.
Nice.
And then we had to move them from there into our shed, and finally they're all sold. So we've got our space back. We made a bunch of money, and that was just a fun haul because, you know, I'm reaping the benefits of it now that they've all sold, and it's this Q4 time. And then it also lets me know things to be looking for. And then it's okay to hold on to stuff, you know, as you're getting closer to Q4, if it's a Q4 item. You don't have to, everything doesn't need to sell in April. It's okay if it waits a little bit.
So what I hear though in the story there is, you know, on the practical level is, one, you know, buying for Q4 starts early, right? It starts, you know, I start buying for Q4 once, you know, if I want to. It all depends. It is risk. There is risk involved, right? But, you know, chances are, I believe if you buy at a low enough cost, you're either going to break even or you're going to make profit, right? So a lot of people that sell in Q4, they're buying like in January, right? When things go clearance, and then they're holding. Now you have to figure out, you need the space, you need to be able to hold it. But, you know, that's one of the things about reselling. I'll share one of my experiences is that I think one of the signs of like growing as a reseller is taking a risk and being comfortable with it. Right. Because it's hard. You know, when you first start, you pick up, you know, you're like, I'm not going to spend more than $2, or, you know, I'm only going to pick up, you know, maybe I'm going to spend $50 on a few items, but and to drop a few hundred or whatever it is, right, it gets risky. Right. And this year, you know, my limits were pushed on some things, and I've had bulk buys, but I've never had so many, I would say, like blind bulk buys in a way. So one of my favorite ones, and all these I think we have on YouTube, but you know, one of my good friends who's a reseller in San Diego was moving, and so part of his move, he didn't want to take all his inventory with him. And, you know, Fernando had called me up. He's like, hey, man, I'm trying to offload some of the stuff. Let's make a deal, you know, come on over. And, you know, the funny thing is, when I first met him was when I went to his garage sale, and I actually bought stuff from him to resell. And so
it's like the circle of reselling.
It is. And then next thing you know, I'm over his house for Thanksgiving and stuff. It was crazy. But actually Halloween. But you know, here's what's crazy. So I dropped about $900 or so. I think it was more. He actually, it's funny, we laugh. He's like, nah, man, you paid a whole lot more than $900 for everything. And I lost track. But here's the thing. I always talk about, you know, always buy a certain amount that like you can make your money back pretty quick. And I always extend it to, you should be able to make profit on at least 25% of the stuff you bought. Right. So it was a great buy. In that buy, you know, I was basically buying a whole nother reseller store that had items like I did. So I bought a bunch of vintage hats. Within a few days, I was already making profit on those. Bought a whole bunch of vintage toys. Now, I will say half of those toys did really well. I bought a whole bunch of Skylanders. And what I loved about buying the Skylanders is that I learned, right? I would say every nice haul I had this year, not only did I make money on it, but it was a learning experience. So, you know, I think one of the best ways, I mean, you could go on eBay and you could search completed solds. You can go to thrift stores, you can go to garage sales, but I think bulk buys are one of the easiest ways to learn about a certain niche, right? So I learned my Skylanders. I know what's valuable. I know what's good. But, you know, there's a whole bunch of other toys that I thought were going to do really well. And some did make money, but some haven't moved, right? So it's part of the risk. Now, fortunately, I've already 2x, I think maybe even 3x my money from everything that I bought. Sorry, Fernando, but he's cool with it. We talked about it. We laughed about it. And also understand this. When people are trying to offload items, right? You're both happy, right? Like even him, he's like, nah, there's no way I would have taken this. I was okay selling it to you. I knew what I was selling to you. And so it ended up working out. And, you know, this Q4, I was able to sell a lot of those toys. Some of those toys, maybe, you know, it's going to wait a little bit. Maybe I overpriced them when I first listed them, and maybe I need to adjust them. I mean, obviously right now it's kind of too late, but you know, sales do come through in January. So what was another one of yours?
So several months ago, we decided, hey, let's start doing Saturday videos, right? We kind of changed up our method, and I I talked about selling the original action camera that I had, and I bought this action camera specifically for being able to do garage sale ride-alongs. And I picked one that had a really good image stabilization, so when I'm walking around, it's not really shaky, or while I'm moving, it's got a good camera, and it's got a front-facing, screen so that I can do like selfie stuff. So I buy this, and it comes in the mail, and I'm playing with it. I'm getting it ready. And so the very first garage sale afterwards, like I have a hard time sleeping, right? Because it's the excitement of a garage sale, and also like I'm going to be making a video, and I hope it does well, and the anxiety of like, well, what if I don't find anything, and it's a lame video? And that garage sale run was actually one of my best runs of the year. So we ended up seeing each other at, it was like a woman's group was selling a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
and so they had
I remember that.
Yeah. So we ran into each other during that event. Yep.
Yeah.
And I picked up so much good stuff that day. And the funny thing is, Orlando and I both, I ended up calling him after the garage sale haul, and I'm like driving home, and we went like separate directions. Like, so we both ended up at the same place the first thing in the morning. And then we went separate directions, and I'm like, I had such a good day. And he's like, I had such a good day. And we realized like we went to different places. So it was just a hot all in the county. It was like a great day. But I picked up one printer. I paid, I think, $5 for it. And the printers go for, it's like still new in box. I haven't listed it yet. It's like big, but those things go for like $400 or $500. I picked up at that woman's place. I picked up a scuba bag that had scuba weights in it. And I picked up the bag to sell the bag. And I didn't even realize that the weights themselves that were inside of it were worth a fortune. I made over $100 just off the weights that were in that bag. And I think I paid like $5 for the bag. I picked up Bose speakers at that place and sold those. I picked up a gun holster, actually 2 gun holsters. And I need to do a little bit more research. But when I first got them, like, these are cool. They're leather and they're like old. And then I started doing research. I'm like, these are like World War II like gun holsters. Like, these are like antique collectibles. And they're going for well over $100. And so I ended up making so much money, and I've already sold probably more than half of the stuff. I picked up a electrical box at that place that like, it's like just a cover that goes over like a panel outside. I paid $1 for it. It was like this big metal box, and they sell for like $180. Right. So I just, that day it was like, I couldn't lose. Yeah. And there's been a lot of times I go to garage sales and I lose, but it's just a reminder that when you're reselling, you're going to have off days. But then you're going to have a day where it's just stop after stop after stop. You're just getting gold. I couldn't even probably list all of the great stuff. Actually, I mean, I could, because there's a video of, I did 2 videos from that one haul. It was such a big haul. I had like 2 30-minute. So I have like an hour video of footage from me out doing stuff and the haul itself. So if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube and you're not watching those videos, go subscribe. Watch those videos, those ride-along videos, because those also contain some bolos, right? Because we show stuff like, hey, I picked up this thing, it's worth this much, and you might not have ever thought to pick those things up. Agreed.
Now, the one that I'm going to share real quick is one that I've talked about a lot. Before I do, though, if you've been listening to us and you haven't smashed that like button, make sure you hit that like button on YouTube. If you're listening to a podcast, jump on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. And some of these hauls that we do pick up, one of the things that we always end up having to use is bubble wrap. And if you have not used American Bubble Boy yet, definitely encourage them. They've been awesome this Q4, getting those that bubble wrap that I need so quick within 2 days, and at a great price still. And so if you haven't yet, go to the link below and use our promo code Pures of Podcast. First time buyers end up getting a discount, and so definitely check them out. And even if you're a repeat buyer and you want to help us out, you can go to our link and just say, hey, Pures of Podcast, appreciate you. We're gonna keep buying American Bubble Boy. So
I like it.
Thanks so much. So I've talked about this one so much. I don't know. I feel like every episode. But man, that Hot Wheels haul that I had was the ultimate haul I think I've had in my entire reselling career. Now, I've had some pretty decent hauls. I mean, I would say I had a massive Harley haul that lasted 4 weeks. My first year full-time, the first year part-time reselling, as far as I took eBay seriously. But I learned, but with Harley, there's a lot to learn, right? But I think with Hot Wheels, it's like we could do a whole podcast just about Hot Wheels.
Yeah. Well, the hard thing too about that, though, is this knowledge is definitely going to make you a lot of money in the future. But I think you stumbled across like kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to get that.
100%.
The hard thing is like once you learn that, because there's a couple niches like that I know a little bit about. But yeah, if you go on OfferUp or you know somebody who's collecting that stuff, like they know what the stuff is worth. So it's a hard time getting those deals. But again, you're at a garage sale and there's just like a one-off and you're like, oh, I know that car's valuable. So yeah.
So, I mean, just to quickly, there's a whole YouTube video on it. Again, business cards. That's what did it, and sometimes I get people that call me back a year later, 2 years. This actually was at a garage sale. I bought a bunch of Disney stuff. I actually bought a lot of Disney stuff also from a storage unit at the same time. But that business card, right? I spent $50 and on those business cards 2 years ago, and I've made thousands off of that purchase. And so got connected, showed up, I did drop 1,300. And here's the thing. I knew that within a few items, I would not a few, it was probably like 10 to 20 items, I'd be able to make my money back. But I got to tell you, I feel like I paid for like a unit in college credits in Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Because
Hot Wheels 201, like it's like the slightly advanced version.
Yeah. Because not only did I learn, I learned about like what Redline meant. I learned what Redline Club membership is. I learned about, what year certain cars are great. I learned what error cards are good. I learned how to even ship Hot Wheels. There's a certain way to ship expensive Hot Wheels. You need to have, protector cases on those. People are very particular about, the kind of damage that's on a box. I mean, I learned a ton. And so up until now, I think it's been about 2 months. I have not sourced for eBay in 2 months. And I'm still going through that collection. And actually, I paid $1,300 for the whole collection. And I was running the math today. I was looking at all my solds. And I've netted about $1,325. So I'm over the break-even point already. And I still have, I'm only 80% of the items listed. And I got another 20%. And I think, during this Q4 and into January, I'm probably going to end up. And again, that's net profit. So did I say break-even? No, I already broke even. That 1325 is on top of breaking even, right? So I've already 2x my money. I'm thinking I'm probably going to 4x, 5x my money. Unless I find a crazy like Hot Wheels treasure hunt that's worth like $1,000, then that's going to be the ultimate. So always leave your business card, always network. I had a great relationship with these people. They trusted me. It allowed me to work out a great deal. And so always network, always use those business cards and, take that risk sometimes. As long as you can make back your money on 25% of the stuff, you should be good to go. So
that's good stuff.
Hey, hope everyone is having an incredible, whether it be, you're celebrating just being with your family, whether you're celebrating Christmas, just having a great holiday. I love the whole reason for the season and hope everybody has a great holiday. With that being said, did you forget?
No, you do it.
I do it?
Yeah, you do it.
Wow, what a way to end off like this Christmas. Make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Peace.